Program's rolling.
This is In-Depth Radio, News Talk 1010.
George Marcello joins us right now. He's actually with an organization called Step by Step Organ Donation Advocate. And George, does this, again, their special tonight doesn't necessarily say, hey, don't sign your organ donor card. It just looks into the fact, hey, why isn't there a uniform standard right across the country to declare somebody dead?
Jim, hi. I'm surprised that there isn't, and we're talking about heart dead donations as opposed to brain dead donation, which was incorporated into Canada 2006. So it's still relatively a new procedure in Canada. And so I'm very surprised that there isn't a uniformed procedure on this. And I just got a hold of this news from Brett right now, so I don't know all the details.
Are you concerned that a show like this tonight might scare some people off from signing their organ donor card?
Yes, very concerned. I think this is, the situation, Jim. It's very grave for those people waiting. This is not helping. And so I'm really going to be prone to watch tonight's newscast.
Okay, so I want to ask people, the 416-872-1010, do you feel there has been a rush to declare people dead because there's a lack of organs? That's what they're looking into tonight on the Fifth Estate at 9 o'clock. George, obviously, this is something that a lot of people hesitate about, and you got me to sign mine last year. I got to say that it was a seed that was planted in the back of my head.
Yeah, and many others, especially in the 90s and early 2000, that was a big fear that people had about the medical staff rushing to somebody's death before they were dead. And throughout all my years, because we got to look at the big picture here, through all my years and all the hospitals I dealt with across Canada, there was not even a remote case of where that happened. So this is all coming news to me right now. I'm going to be very, very interested to see what kind of information they have on all this, and you can bet I'm going to do my own little investigative.
Okay. Step by Step is a website, and people can go on there, and there are links, and you can help people out signing their organ donation card. Perhaps they'll watch tonight, and they think there's a need to help people out, and there is a need right now. So go to the website, stepbystep.com. Is it, George?
Yeah, stepbystep.ca, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Again,
I hope this doesn't discourage you, Jim.
I've already done it.
Okay, don't take your name off.
All right. I didn't know you could, but...
you could. Well, I shouldn't even said, but
yeah,
you could.
No, it's okay. I'm still...
You're good.
There.
You're good, Denny. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. George Marcello, who is with the organization that advocates and encourages people to donate their organs. Does this scare anybody? That there's not a uniform standard? Again, this is for only people who've donated organs. So they've tried to save you, you've died, and now they wait 5 minutes. I don't know that it means that they're not going to do what they would do for somebody who hasn't donated their organs. Patrick, this is one thing that worries you? This is the reason why you haven't signed an organ donor card?
It's not a reason that I haven't signed. I just think that people are naive to believe that if you're a very valuable blood type, and you're involved in an accident and you're a real mess, they might be able to keep you alive. Your heart's already stopped. I'm just curious when they start that clock of 5 minutes. Is it when your heart stops? Because they're gonna continue to perform CPR on you to keep the blood flowing while they rush you to the hospital to remove your organ. I
got to say, when you hear about doctors, this is more in the States though, who can't get malpractice insurance. I don't know when they've taken that oath to, keep people alive more than, help kill them, that is really playing on their mind. Certainly once somebody is dead, I bet you that switch flicks to get the organs out. But I think
something to think about.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to interrupt.
I'm not saying I think the reality is that people think this way, and that might be why you haven't signed your donor card. But the reality is that you're a doctor. You're supposed to save people, not necessarily save organs. Sherry, you're a donor. Does this concern you?
My concern is, how do they treat your body if you are eligible? I just signed my donor card last year, and my family is a bit concerned of how they would treat my body removing your organs.
What do you mean? I mean, obviously they'd have to cut you up.
No, of course, but there should be some type of a level of respect, right?
Yeah, I think there probably is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these guys are medical doctors, and they're going to be sending that body over to the funeral home. I'm not sure that it's
75 seconds in Denver. If it's 5 minutes here, if it's 20 minutes in Italy, clearly the science isn't settled on this. Clearly there's no certainty as to when exactly death occurs, irreversible death. And that's the debate that's been going on often behind closed doors in the medical circles.
From hospital to hospital within the GTA, you would think there would be some uniform standard. We're with Bob McEwen. He's one of the hosts of The Fifth Estate tonight. They look into dead enough. Basically, they're trying to find out why, at least in this country, why there wouldn't be a standard on when somebody should be declared dead. And I would think, and we'll ask and find out, I wonder how many of our listeners right now, it's one of the reasons that you might be hesitant to sign your organ donor card. 416-872-1010. Star Talk is star 8255. But when they're looking at the watch and they're just waiting for, the 5 minutes, as you said, here in one of the hospitals here in Toronto, I'm wondering, Bob, if they're looking at the watch while knowing if you are or aren't a donor, and that is at all playing into this kind of stuff. That's what I want to ask you in a second. First 15 minutes after 2 o'clock. News Talk 1010, time saver traffic.
As coroner, I must cover, I thoroughly examined her, and she's not only nearly dead, she's really most sincerely dead.
That's from the Wizard of Oz, I think, an official declaration of death, one that I remembered from my childhood. So I'm not sure if you used that, Bob, in your report tonight, but you probably should have.
Yeah, we should have. This declaration of death, by the way, is only applicable to organ donors. If your time has come and you're not an organ donor, it's totally irrelevant. There's no waiting period because there's nothing to wait for. This waiting period is between when your heart stops and when they can begin organ removal. And as I said, in most candidates, 5 minutes. But that 5 minute period is meant to ascertain that you're completely and irreversibly dead.
So are they treating people who are organ donors differently than people who die and are not organ donors?
Well, yes, because they don't worry about the time element because they don't have to preserve the organs. Organs are very fragile. They start to degrade as soon as blood flow ends, which would be as soon as the heart stops. So if you say, well, it's 5 minutes to determine that death is irreversible, that's one thing. In Italy, it's 20 minutes. And by 20 minutes, we're told, there are many organs, and it varies from organ to organ, but there are many organs that would be perhaps useless after that period of time. So this is the balancing act, to have a waiting period that's long enough to know that death has taken place and is irreversible.
Yep.
And then, at the same time, that's short enough to preserve the organs. And
why is there, again, we're with Bob McEwen from the Fifth Estate tonight. They look into, it's called Dead Enough. They look into the fact that from hospital to hospital, from province to province, there's not a single standard from coast to coast that would say, okay, this is when you can start taking organs out. How within a city does it differ, the standard differ?
Well, I presume the reason St. Mike's is longer than Sunnybrook or the General is that St. Mike's is a Catholic hospital. It's probably the reason that Italy is 20 minutes as opposed to Denver at 75 seconds. Yeah. But think about this. If those waiting periods are to determine that death is irreversible, in Denver it's 75 seconds. In Italy it's 20 minutes. In most of Canada it's 5 minutes. Does that tell you that the science is not settled, that there's no certainty as to when life ends as far as they're concerned? And if that's true, then, and this is a position that an increasing number of physicians we spoke with hold, that 5 minutes isn't enough. It may be the Canadian standard, but there's no science to show that definitively life will have ended by the end of that waiting period. And what that means, or what that may mean, and they say in some cases it does mean, is that when organs are removed, or begin to be removed at least, there may still be some residual brain function in that donor.
Yeah.
That now, does that mean consciousness? Does that mean perception of pain? No one really knows.
It's interesting, and I look forward to watching it tonight, 9 o'clock in the CBC, the Fifth Estate dead enough, trying to figure out when somebody should be officially declared dead in order to take organs out. Bob, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jim.
And they'll follow one story of a young man by the name of Shane who is declared dead, and then his parents are told, hey, wait a second, maybe they should have done some other things.